Hi everybody, welcome to my humble home on wheels, where every week you have the chance to have your video featured on my channel. All you gotta do is make a video about 10 minutes long, no bad words, no bad stuff in it, and put it on Google Drive. Then link me to it, and then about once a week I will select a winner and I will feature that video on my channel. And here is this week's winner.
Hey everybody, Eve here. Today I thought I would just have a frank conversation with all of you about living in a tiny space. A lot of people are becoming more accustomed to the idea of living tiny, and it's not so odd anymore. At least not like it was, 5 years ago when I first really started considering about the day when my husband and I retired and, getting a place of our own. I discussed it with him. He wasn't really open to the tiny concept, but he was open to the concept of maybe purchasing a camper and visiting the United States and traveling and getting to do all sorts of fun things, when we retired. Unfortunately, my husband contracted a terminal cancer and died very swiftly, and that's a very painful subject for me. And because it's still so fresh, he only passed away in September of this year, which is 8 months ago. I don't know. I lost my best friend, my soulmate, and so that pivotal moment, very pivotal moment in my life, forced me to, I didn't have any choice. I had to go tiny. I had no income other than being an artist. My husband was the primary breadwinner. Going back to work, it's not something I could have done. I would have never earned enough to be able to afford living on my own. And the prospect of living with family members or in some other setup, that wasn't going to happen either. Suffice it to say that I had to think of something really quick. And I did. And with what little resources I had available to me, which is YouTube. And of course, YouTube does only one thing. I mean, most of the YouTube videos that you see about tiny living and, nomadic living, tiny house living, I don't care. Whatever you search for on YouTube, it's mostly going to be very or completely glamorized versions of tiny spaces. And now, having lived in a tiny space since, December of this year, 2018 rather, which makes that about 5 months, I'm here to tell you, while I love it and I have no intentions of changing anything, I absolutely love it. But there are aspects of it I absolutely did not anticipate, and they're big deal breakers that if most of you or most of the people that are considering moving tiny knew, they probably wouldn't do it. But it depends, because money is everything. Money's king, and if you have enough money, there are none of these obstacles are a problem. Everything can be overcame if money is no obstacle. Obviously, the reason why all of us do what we do and the decisions we make and the choices we make and the quality of life we live has to do with money. Now, there's a bug in here. See, that's one of the cons of living tiny. Bugs. You can't. Moving along. While money doesn't buy you happiness, it will buy you comfort. Hands down, comfort. Your basic needs, your creature comforts will be met. So anybody that wants to argue that point, there's places to leave your comments below. If they're nasty, they'll be deleted because I don't play that. I'm a follower of Christ, but I ain't Jesus. So, if you want to be nice and have a discussion, a debate, if you will, have at it. I'm open. I'm a very good listener, and I don't think I'm an expert on anything. I'm just giving everyone my opinions, my experience. I live tiny. I live in a converted horse trailer that's probably 80 square feet, tops, on a good day. Love it, love it, love it. But I had a rough winter, and I won't lie about that, because I purchased a horse trailer, and it's created by a man in Naples, Florida, and he apparently had no idea that somebody, I was originally in Florida when I heard about him, but after my husband's death, excuse me, because of extended family, I moved back to Ohio. Excuse me. Tough. I don't edit my videos. This is raw and uncut. It's the way it is. Don't have money for all that mess either. So anyway, moved back to Ohio to be among extended family and friends, and this is where I can afford. And I'm done with the Florida hurricanes. Not even going there. That's another subject. Talk about that in the future, about people anticipating moving to Florida. If you think about it, if you're thinking about it, talk to me. I would highly suggest you didn't, and especially don't live beachside. So, moving along. At any rate, here's some of the cons, because I'm trying to cut to the chase. The cons of living tiny is whatever problems you had living in a regular house, magnify those about 10 living tiny. If you have issues, you're going to have issues when you live tiny. In fact, your issues are going to be amplified, because when you live in a normal house with normal power and normal, everything's normal, things we take for granted, lights, water, everything, it's provided for us. It's there. It's easily accommodated. When you go tiny, you start have to worrying about all of those things. Where I'm going to get my water every day. If you don't have a built-in bathroom in your tiny space, I don't. I had to learn how to use, alternative toilet methods, and I happen to use an odorless, very clean, but a waterless one as well. And if it's a composting toilet. What can I say? It's a type of composting toilet. Let's put it that way. There are different methods. If in the future I will do a video about my particular method, because I happen to think mine is the easiest and the best and the cleanest. So, but I don't have any running water. So that's something I have to think about every day. Every day I get up, I have to make sure that I have enough water. I don't have the ability to store things, so I have to make plans to store things. Excuse me, frog in the throat. So I have a very small refrigerator, so I have to, my grocery shopping has to be frequent. I live close to a town, thank goodness, 5 miles from town, so I can drive in frequently. And because I'm a vegetarian and eat whole, fresh foods, then I have no way to store those either. I have to go in and get fresh salads, fresh fruits, and stuff several times a week, as well as the water runs. And like I said, with my particular tiny space not having sufficient insulation, sub-zero winter, as it were, that we just experienced was insane. And I had to run 2 heaters. And getting back to heaters and appliances and things in general, when you live tiny, and you're in an RV or a camper or a mobile home or whatever, you're going to have to learn a lot about electricity that you don't want to know. Watts, volts, amps, extension cords, safety, tons of stuff. Tons of stuff that everyday people don't have to think about as they go about their little tiny little uncomplicated lives. Now, I'm not griping. I'm blessed. But, just saying, there's cons. Lots of cons to living tiny. And there's the monetary advantages are monumental. No, I don't have a mortgage. I own this, free and clear. Now, I don't own the property I'm on, but the property belongs to relatives. And, and it's on wheels. So in the future, if I get a truck and I want to travel the United States, which was my original plan, I can do that. There's a lot of advantages to living tiny. I'm just trying to let all of you know that there's a few cons. Safety is an issue. When you live this tiny, it's a lot easier for people to, invade your space. It just is. I mean, we live in a dangerous world. So I'm armed. I'm not going to tell you with what. It could be mace. It could be a bug spray. It could be a gun. Not telling. It's my business. I'm legal. Enough said. So anyway. Yes, basically, that's pretty much everything in a nutshell. Before you move into a tiny space, whether it's an RV, a mobile home, a van, your car, I mean, come on, homeless people are living out of their cars. You don't see them. I mean, you see these people that are on YouTube, they've got these gorgeous custom vans that they've done. They've spent thousands of dollars doing that, folks. I got lucky. My particular horse trailer that was converted into a cabin or a buggy, sort of gypsy Vardo looking wagon, was done by a gentleman who did a lot of work, and he's famous for what he does, and he's very reasonable. His prices are very. If I'd have done this, I would have spent a lot more than what I paid for this. Okay. But not everybody can afford that. And if you're not careful, you could end up like that homeless person living out of your car. Wouldn't be much different. I mean, there's a lot of cons to tiny spaces. Come on, right? You can either do this or you can't. But you definitely can't do it if you don't have knowledge. And unfortunately, there's so much knowledge out there on the internet, on YouTube, that's misleading. It's misinformation and disinformation. And you need to do your research and your due diligence so that if you decide to go tiny, you'll know what you're doing. And you'll have a pretty good idea of what you're getting into. So do your research. And I hope this video was helpful. I just wing these things, folks. I talk from the heart. I'm just sharing. And in the meantime, while you're here, thumbs up, comment on, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Until next time, bye-bye. See, people knock on the door when you're not ready.
If you want to be featured on next week's video, here's what you got to do. Make a video about 10 minutes long. Keep it clean. Get Google Drive and upload that video to Google Drive. Then send me an email with the link to that video and authorize me to access the video. And then I'll download the video, and then when you get chosen, I'll let you know, and your video will be selected. So make that video. Yeshua, Jesus, said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live even if he dies, and everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. Do you believe this? John 11:25-26.